I've been in IT about a year now, and in that year, I've been able to amass over 30 certifications. And a lot of people might be asking why. Why do so many certifications? And in this video, I'm hoping that I can kind of briefly answer that and hopefully help out a few other people. So here's my story. So, what I learned about it in being in IT just for about the year is that there's a certification for everything. If you want a certification from any vendor, they're going to offer it. And especially with certain fields that are hot and popular right now, like cybersecurity, everybody and their mom is offering some sort of certification and even calling it a certification, even if no one even cares about it. Some of them are really good, some of them are not so good. I don't really know what's good and what's not. All I know is that I've taken a couple of them, and in another video, I explain how I go about choosing the certifications that I do. But one other thing that I recognize is that because the market is so saturated with so many certifications, it seems like there are so many people that are now against being certified. It's almost like people would say, a cert won't get you the job, or, what are you overcompensating for? Are you compensating for the fact that you have a lack of skill? Or things like certs are great, but experience is better, which I don't always necessarily agree. What I do agree with is the fact that skills are over everything. And if you have the skill, that's great, but you can't always demonstrate the fact that you have a skill. And some people aren't even going to believe you that you have a skill. At the end of this video, I'm going to explain how, with me being so new, I had to find a way to be able to validate my skills swiftly, succinctly, and how it worked out well for me. Now, the first thing that I want to say with this is that when it comes to the whole experiences greater than certifications, I want to call that into question a little bit. Is experience really the best teacher? And my answer to that has become yes, but it depends on what you are experiencing. Experience doesn't always end up being the best teacher, and I know that many of us have had experience with that. Okay, I'm just saying that to be a little bit funny, but the reality is that experience is not always the best teacher. Let me give an example. Back when I was in high school, my freshman year of high school, I was in ninth grade. It was the year 2001, I believe, because my very first day of high school was 9/11, 2001. Isn't that something? Anyway, my first year in this class was music, it was bands. It was the remedial band that I was in because I did not do the tryouts over the summertime to make the real bands. I did like playing instruments and I've always had a certain aptitude for music. Now, at the end of that year, we had to choose what classes we were going to take our sophomore year. And we had an elective. We could take art, we can take theater, we can take more band, or as a 10th grader, we can take typing. A few of us that were really good and were going to make the bands like the Puffy Show. Yeah, we're going to make the bands. We chose to go into being in the keyboarding class to be able to type. Now, my teacher was not that happy about that. He wanted us to play in the bands. He was a monster musician, funny guy too. I really liked him. But anyway, he was a funny guy, great teacher, wanted to be around us, great musician. And when we told him that we were going to take keyboarding as our elective, he told us that we probably shouldn't, and that we go home. And of course, this is 2001. Other people had computers. They spend time in chat rooms and on this platform called AOL Instant Messenger, AIM or something. I don't know. I didn't have a computer back then. But people did that. And he said to us, "Is like, well, when you go home, how much time do you spend in the computer?" Lots of time, other people said, because they had computers. How much time do you spend in chat rooms? Lots of time, like hours. He's like, you don't think all that typing is going to be what was good enough for you? Now, he was wrong because, yeah, they would have got a lot of experience typing on a computer, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they were going to learn the official way to type. Because here's the thing, we're out there typing with our two fingers, and we did pretty good, like 30, 40 words a minute if we're really good at it. Some people were even able to type with their two fingers with their eyes closed, but it wasn't the official way of typing. We then took the typing class, and some of us got up to being so good that we're able to type like 110 words a minute. Now, what's my point in saying that? Yeah, we could have gone through it and we could have just relied on experience and exposure to be able to teach us how to type. Like, boom, here's a keyboard. Here you are. You hit letters on the keyboard. But no amount of experience was going to take the place of deliberate instruction and doing it the right way, learning it the right way, and implementing it the right way. For me, do I regret not being in the band? I mean, sometimes because I really like playing the saxophone and that was a lot of fun. But as far as the professional level goes with my life, I'm glad that I learned how to type. And I'm glad that I did not rely on just experience to be able to teach me because it would not have got me to be the decent typist that I am today, or to be able to bang out papers really quickly, or write books, or be able to respond to people on Twitter as, some sort of social media trope. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. I'm just saying I'm happy that I learned to type the right way. And with a lot of things, we can't always rely on experience to be able to teach us what we need to teach. We have to rely on that deliberate instruction in the official way. Now, what certs actually do for us is that they do teach us the official way. It might not be the way that we implement for the rest of our lives, but at least it gives us a good foundation on what to work on. The other point that I want to make when it comes to experience not being necessarily the best teacher is the fact that context really does matter. See, experience can teach us something, but only in the context that we needed for ourselves. Let me give another success story. Fitness life. When I was in high school, when I turned about 16 years old, I started working out in the gym. And you might not be able to tell in this video because, I'm out here, just in the video, you see my head and a little bit of my chest, but, I'm kind of buff. I kind of made it. I got pretty good at working out. When I first started, I couldn't do a push-up, but I got good at doing push-ups. I got to the point of being able to do 100. I did good for myself. I mean, I couldn't even curl 10 pounds my first day, and I tried. I mean, 10 pounds, 2 hands. Couldn't do it. But I got really good. I practiced. I went at it. I became pretty successful. And, I'm not going to flex for y'all because, I like this shirt. I ain't trying to lose this shirt. Kind of nice shirt. Good color. Matches his background. Stands out real good, too. Yeah, let me flex for y'all. Because I just want to show, I got pretty successful at it. And I became really good. That arm's almost as big as my head. Yeah.
Hear me. That's all muscle. Oh. You fat. I'm muscle. Oh, where's my little Bill? He's a little Hercules. Show me muscle again. Oh, Hercules.
So here's the thing. I got really good for me, and I was able to learn what I need to do in the moment for myself to become good at what I was doing. Now, a lot of people looked at my success with this, and they said, I want to train with you. I said, sure, why not? I know what I'm doing. Clearly, I know what I'm doing. Look at all the experience I've had in the gym. I have trial and error. I've got the tried and true and beaten path to be able to do this. Clearly, I know what I'm doing, right? I mean, I ain't gonna be in the gym for this amount of time and learn all this stuff. So I started doing this with other people. They got hurt. They got injured. It didn't work for them. They weren't me. You see, my knowledge from my experience was limited to the context that I was in. And a lot of knowledge is like that. You have knowledge for the context, but not in the global setting of things. Now, with that, I realized that even though I wanted to work in fitness, and I was a pretty bad trainer at the time because I was relying on what I do, and it's like, yeah, come do my workouts. Come work out with me. They couldn't work out with me. Couldn't do it if they tried. Not their fault either. I mean, they were at their level. So then what I did is that I went and I took some fitness certifications. I've done this company called NASM. I've done action personal training. And recently I become a master trainer with this company called ISA. It's been great. And with that, I have become a way better trainer because what they taught me is not just for me to look out for what works for me and for my experience, but to be able to understand everything as it goes and how physiology works across the board with different people in different settings. If I didn't go for those certifications, then guess what? I would have been arrogant, thinking that my experience is everything, looking down on people and saying, yo, why don't y'all lift? Why can't y'all lift? I do it. Just do what I do. When that's not exactly what works. I need to have a more global setting. It's the same thing that I found out with IT. A lot of times people become good at what they do and how they do certain things, but it doesn't actually make them good at things globally. So experience doesn't always teach us things that are global. It teaches things that are more expedient and in the moment. Finally, let's talk about some blind spots. And this is before I get into tech. That's why I say finally. This is not the end of the video. But the blind spots that we can somehow get. Another part of my life, other types of certifications, because I've gone through a couple of them right now. And to review so far, I talked about learning the official way and the value of that. I've talked about having a broader sense of context outside of just our own experience, despite our own success, and clearly knowing what we're doing. But also, what about when you start trying to go for knowledge and only patching it to what you desire? There's another point in my life where I was going into digital marketing. I heard that it was a good field. I wanted to make a little bit of money, and I tried my best at it. So, how bad could it be? I mean, digital marketing, I'm a millennial. Digital generation. I was there. I mean, yeah, I'm older than the internet, but, so what? Okay, I'm not older than the internet, but I am older than the World Wide Web. I'm older than Google. Dang it, I'm older than Google. Whatever. So, yeah, I'm supposed to be good at the digital stuff. I was there when Facebook was born. I had an account. I mean, I remember other social media platforms that people talked about, and MySpace, Skonex or Sconix, High Five. Y'all remember High Five? Lap Panda was a thing. I was there through it all, so I'm supposed to know about a little bit of digital marketing or social media marketing. You make a post, hopefully it goes well, you word it really well, it gains traction. If only it were that easy, right? That's what I thought. And then you know what I did? I decided to learn on my own and do a few projects. I took some courses in Udemy. That's how I got into Udemy too. Great place to go. Great place to learn. So I got into doing some courses in Udemy. I learned a little bit about digital marketing. I realized, oh snap. So it's not only about doing this whole post something, hope for the best, and then people are going to come. You got to have a process. Offer something for free. Pay for some ads. I started paying for some ads. You know what happened? Nothing. I learned a little more from Udemy. Nothing happened. I started applying it for a little while. Sales were low. It just didn't work out for me. But at one point, there was something that did work. I tried that for a couple of years, for like 3 or 4 years. Wasn't really getting that much traction. But then, this company called Digital Marketer, they offer certifications too. They were offering a deal, 1 month free for everything they offer, including their certifications. I looked at it, I said, bet. Yeah, I'm going to go through this course. I'm going to do everything they got. So they said 30 days free. I was able to finish all 12 of their certifications within 2 weeks. And I learned a lot. I went from not knowing what I was doing, from trying to just experience things, finagle things, put them together, learning on my own, to learning the official way to do things. And that filled in a lot of my gaps. What they were able to teach me were things that I didn't even know that I should care about. Things that were out there that can be done that now I had to learn for the certification, even though I didn't see it as relevant to myself. What the certification was able to do for me when it came to digital marketing was to say, what is there that can be experienced? What can be done? They were addressing needs that I didn't even know that I had. I recognized that I needed to do a lot more. I tried to apply those things, and yeah, sales were still a little bit slow, but it was a lot better than what it was before. I wasn't paying as much for the ads. They were going a lot farther. I was able to do the whole retargeting thing. I started making like a decent amount of traction online, and it worked out great. The point that I'm making is that those 2 weeks of deliberately studying for these certifications and being put in the position to learn things that I didn't necessarily care about in the moment or before I started taking them actually helped me go a lot further. Those 2 weeks of deliberate study and what I learned in that told me what I needed to go do, what I needed to go experience. And those 2 weeks made me more valuable than the entire 3 years that I was actually trying to do it, even for hours and hours at it every single day. And that's the value of some of these certs. A lot of times what they're able to do is that instead of you just learning how to do what you want to do or the skill that you want to obtain or what you think you want, they force you to go for the exam and to know things that you wouldn't otherwise care about. And this broadens out your knowledge and lets you see how important it is. Now, I know some people are saying that, then why don't you just study for it and not take the exam? And I have a response for that as well. I study for it and take the exam because my mind has a tendency to filter things. Where if I study for something and don't take the exam, I'm just gonna pick out what I believe is important for me, what's pertinent for the moment, whatever I need for right now. And it's not gonna force me to think about what are the things that I don't need right now but can be done. What a certification does for me is thinking about the test afterwards. What exactly are they going to see as important? What else do I need to know, even if I don't hear about it, not even a little bit? And that helps me broaden out my knowledge. So that's part of why I do it. So far I've talked about that. Now, getting into tech. I just want to let you know that before I started studying for my A plus over a year ago, I thought I was tech savvy. I thought I knew stuff. People looked at some of the work that I did, and because I was able to go through some experiences with it and build websites or be able to do things, I've always been a pretty good artist. I'm into art. I mean, look at my backdrop. That's artistic. Anyway, I was always able to do certain things and be good at art, design websites, and people would think that that would translate over to the tech world. I thought so. I mean, I thought I was using cloud computing. I was using Amazon S3 because, when you download those free PDFs that come when you give you email and they end up spamming you. Yeah, I used to spam people too. Anyway, so with those type of things, I always noticed that they were hosted on Amazon. I didn't even know what hosted meant. I just knew that was on S3. Then on S3, they said it was free. I was like, oh, snap. You mean I could put my PDFs here and then get people to download it? So I was able to use S3. And I'm over here thinking, looking at jobs like, oh, yeah, this is cloud computing. This is it. Later on, like even in the marketing thing, I didn't want to use this program called Hootsuite, which is a social media marketing tool that you can write a post and blast it out everywhere. So I found a script on a site called Code Canyon where I was able to kind of make my own version of Hootsuite, and I didn't have to pay for it. I then was able to make the plugins. And then I didn't want to pay for MailChimp, which is an email marketing platform. So I got this thing called MailWiz, and I was able to use Amazon SES, which is Simple Email Service, and use that as the email server. So with that, I'm thinking, man, I definitely know AWS. I know what cloud computing is. I mean, look at this. I got the projects. I got the experience. I can actually sell this. I thought I knew something about IT. Turns out I know nothing. For real, I really didn't know anything. Because once I started getting into the A plus, and I found out what cloud computing really is, all I was doing was using a tool for the product that I had, but I didn't really know the tool. I just knew knew it as a means to an end. I knew the end. I knew about how to write a PDF, download it, market it, push it out. But that doesn't mean that you actually know the intermediary of the tool. I already thought cloud computing was simply just a whole storage thing. I already thought an email server, I didn't even know what a server was back then either, come to find out. I thought that it was just a place to store emails while they pitch it out to people. I was like, oh snap, that's kind of dope. I had no idea about all the rest of it or how cloud computing actually worked. But couldn't tell me that before I started actually studying for these certifications. I already thought I could put that on my resume and say I got 5 years experience working with AWS. And the thing about it is that I did. I had projects because I had S3 things and I set up buckets. I even made it so that I can automatically stream my webinars for marketing from Amazon S3. But that doesn't mean that I knew exactly what it was. It wasn't until I took Cloud Practitioner from AWS that I knew what cloud computing was. And I realized I had just scratched the surface with with the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. So the stuff before that, I was like, that's nothing. I was fooling myself thinking that my experience with it or having some hands-on knowledge with it was somehow the experience that was necessary or relevant. I wouldn't have known that there was more to do if doing the study for the cert hadn't opened up my eyes either. And that's how it was with a lot of things. I mean, I had wired my whole home network, thinking I knew how to network things just because I could sign on from my Wi-Fi from everywhere, or because I can plug it in. I thought like those wires were just wires that connect things together. I didn't know what a switch was. I thought it was a internet wire splitter. That's what I called it. I even looked it up online. I couldn't find nothing. And then I thought a router was just something that took the internet from the cable company and pushed it out through the air. I didn't know the rest of it. I thought cybersecurity was just making good passwords and trying to cycle them. I didn't know anything, but I didn't know that I didn't know unless the cert told me that I didn't. I was actually almost ready to just forego the certs because at the time people were telling me that doing certs aren't going to be that valuable. And I'm glad that I didn't listen to that. Because what the certs were able to do was to help me fill in the gaps in knowledge. I went for those certs because I wanted to start from the bottom. I wanted to learn everything that I need to know. And I ended up doing that. I'm happy that I did. Because if I didn't, it would have been atrocious. Me actually thinking I knew something just because I've had an AWS account since 2014. Thinking I know cloud computing. Yeah, right. I didn't. So here's the thing. Experience isn't everything. I know that. But skills are. And you can get those skills different ways. Certs help you get those skills, but even better, certs give you something to talk about to be able to validate it. Let me give you a little bit more about my own experience. When I first did the CompTria, or the trifecta as people call it, well, I call it the CompTrio because, why not throw words together? See, that's marketing coming in. Anyway, when I first did that, it took me 30 days. I got pretty good at it. I think that I became pretty competent. It wasn't until a couple weeks later that I started getting offer letters for my first few jobs. The thing about it is that within that time, I did get the skill that I needed to be able to do my job, and I became pretty good at it. And yeah, I really did become pretty good. This time at least. But without the certifications, even if I had talked about the projects, if I had told people that I only had 6 weeks of experience altogether, even trying anything like this, they would look at me and say, what could you do in 6 weeks? That's not even anything. There's no way a person with only 6 weeks of experience can know anything. But here's the thing, throw the certs on top of it. It's like, no, in these 6 weeks, I also did this, and this, and this, and some labbing. And then that's when people are going to be like, oh, so let me hear more about these past 6 weeks that you had. And that's literally what happened for me. Is that because I didn't have a long stretch of time for experience, people wanted to listen to how I was able to get those certs in such a short period of time. So that's part of how it worked for me. One thing about it is that the certs might not get you the job, and that's what people were saying. Like, oh, just because you have the cert doesn't mean that you can do the job, and that's very true. Just because you have the certification does not mean that you can do the job. But I can promise you this: if I don't have the certification, I also probably can't do the job either. It's as simple as that. I mean, just coming from my experience. So it's like, okay, no, don't do the A plus. Just focus on your skills and develop your skills because you want to be able to do the job. Yeah, I do. But I want other people to know I can do the job too. And also, tell me not to do it somehow. So now I have no skills and no cert. And then I'm on a job still. Come on, that's not how that doesn't make any sense. It's better to have than not to have, especially when you're way at the beginning, like where I was at. And I do later on. I am going to talk about how I do believe that certs are more suited for the beginner than for the experts. Because in 10 years, trust me, I probably won't be doing any certs because I've got 10 years of experience. Y'all better put some respect on my name.
Let y'all know, stop, put some respect on my name.
So anyway. That's how the certs work for me. Also, I want to say that there is other value of knowing it the official way. Right now, the role that I'm in, a couple of us took the place of a seasoned network engineer. All four of us on the team have our CCNAs. Most of us are under the age of 30. We're kind of new to the field. We don't have the experience. I mean, most of them aren't even 12 years past into adulthood, much less like 12 years experience, like the guy that we're taking the place of. But unfortunately, with him, he wasn't certified. He didn't know the official way to do things. As far as he was concerned, if he plugged it in and it worked, don't complain, walk back slowly, and don't worry about it. If it falls apart again, prop it up. He had 12 years of experience. And of course, he would think, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. I've got all the experience. But he didn't know the official way of doing things, or the fact that he was wasting resources because he didn't know how to do these things. Then here the rest of us come and we're certified. And a large part of our job is fixing the 12 years of errors that he made, that he didn't know that he was making because he didn't have that level of knowledge. Now, what we're doing is that we're applying this. And of course, in 12 years, we're going to have the knowledge and the experience, which is better. So finally, I want to talk about why I do cert so fast. The cert might not get you the job. Hope that everything here was clear. I'm running out of steam now because it's been a while for this video. Cool. Still, look forward to my next ones because those are going to be amazing, where I talk about how I choose certs, why I choose the ones that I do, and then I'm going to go into a little bit about how to study. But pretty much in this video, I wanted to address the fact that there's a lot of cert haters out there. And a lot of people would even say that the more certs you have, the less people look at you, they roll your eyes. That's fine because, I'm trying to build my knowledge up. And it's worked for me in the last year. But I'm making this video to say why I believe that certs are great. The study process behind it. Certs tell you what you need to go experience, what you need to go do. What is the official way to do things? What can happen? What are the possibilities? Where are your horizons? That's what certs do. So instead of stumbling and discovering things that have already been discovered and could have been done quicker, you just go for the cert and you learn the information. You do those things. You experience the things that are that you're studying, and that's gonna be great. Finally, and this is the real final because after this, I ain't talking no more. Finally, why do I do cert so fast? So many people criticize me and say, "Well, no, take your time and learn the information." For what? Why would you take your time? If all of the benefit is in the skill that you develop and then in experience, then the best course of action is to get the cert out of the way as quick as possible and start experiencing what you studied in the certs. Let me tell you how that worked for me. So just take the first three, the comp trio. You have your A plus, network plus, security plus. There are 4 tests. Some people would say budget about 3 months per exam. 2 parts for the A plus, 3 months each, so that's 6 months. 3 months for the network plus, that's another 3 months. And then 3 months for the security plus. At the end of it, you have an entire year where all you did was studying certifications. You didn't even get a chance to do any type of employment. But here's the thing, guess what? That 1 year that we just mentioned, like what most people recommend if you're gonna do certs to learn it correctly, I just finished that 1 year. The only difference is I did those certs in 30 days. And as a result, I've been able to work consistently over the last year in multiple positions, starting as a system administrator, being promoted to a systems administrator 2, and then being promoted to network administrator and being up there to be a network engineer now too. All within a year. If I had taken an entire year to take my time, learn it right, I would have wasted all that time. Also, I would have foregone the income that I've had over the last year, which is now in the high 80,000s. And because of that, I would have missed out on a lot of opportunities. I'm glad that I did it quickly because once I got that out of the way, that's when my experience was able to begin. That's where I was able to go. If I hadn't done that, I would have been starting today where I started exactly 1 year ago. Don't do that. Do certs as quickly as you can to learn the information and then start experiencing what you actually learned as fast as you can. Get into that experience as quickly as you can. So to give you the way that I believe that it should be done, learn the stuff from the cert to learn the official way and broaden your mind and horizons. And as fast as possible, once you know what's possible and know that you have a grip of a certain level of competence with it, start experiencing those things through labs, through anything else that you can. But certs are good because they open your minds. That's all I've got. Stay tuned for my other videos. It's gonna be dope. You're awesome. Bye now.